A US Army veteran has been charged with conspiracy for fighting alongside a Syrian rebel group linked to al-Qaeda. Eric'a Harroun'a, known to Syrians as the American, has appeared in numerous videos with members of the Al-Nusra front, designated by the US as a terrorist group. His father claims his son was working for the CIA and would never join a militant group. Artist Gani Chichikal examines now where the US draws the line between terrorists and so-called freedom fighters.
A U.S. Army veteran, Eric'a Harroun'a, posted this video online while fighting with the rebels in Syria. Eric'a Harroun'a has joined the al-Qaeda-linked group Jabhat al-Nusra, the only rebel group in Syria that the U.S. has designated as terrorists. While in Syria, Eric actively posted photos and videos of himself holding various weapons, bragging about the rebels' latest attacks, and calling himself a freedom fighter.
Bashar al-Assad, your days are numbered. You're gonna die no matter what. Where you go, we will find you and kill you.
Upon arrival in the U.S., he was arrested and charged with illegally using a rocket-propelled grenade on behalf of the al-Qaeda-affiliated group. According to court documents, Eric told the FBI that, quote, he hated al-Qaeda, he did not know any al-Qaeda members, and would fight any regime if it imposed Sharia law in Syria, end of quote. But in an interview with a journalist before he was arrested, Eric responded to a question about fighting alongside terrorists in Syria by saying, quote, the U.S. plays both sides too, end of quote. Eric'a Harroun'a had never served overseas during his brief time with the U.S. military. Before heading for Syria, he had a quiet job with a mortgage company in Phoenix, Arizona, worlds away from the woes of the Middle East. I spoke with Ann Speckert, a leading expert on terrorist psychology, on why Westerners end up in the ranks of terrorists.
Some people over here and in Canada, I was just up in Canada talking to them, are going over to Syria to join freedom fighters, and they really believe that they're fighting for freedom. But they get there and it's a chaotic situation. Al-Nusra is active and maybe looking effective. And once you're in a chaotic, war-torn environment, your emotions are heightened, you're scared, and you may just affiliate with a group that you might not otherwise have affiliated with.
The official message that these are freedom fighters and they need to be helped, that in some way it just confuses them even more?
That's a really good point, that we are calling this a fight for freedom. We are speaking about it on the media, that it's freedom fighting. So when someone feels strongly about it and wants to go and help them, are we to blame them? And but then when they get over there, if they join a group that's been designated as a terrorist group, it's confusion probably. And we need to get straight on that. We need to decide exactly what we're going to do about Syria. I think that we have a very confused response ourselves as a government right now.
Since the start of the Arab Spring, the U.S. media have touted the image of a freedom fighter, featuring stories with the likes of Matthew Van Dyke, an American who first fought with Libyan rebels and then switched to Syria.
I fought in the war in Libya in 2011, and I saw the effects of what we accomplished, and I want Syrians to have freedom as well.
In recent months, the Obama administration has tried to publicly distance itself from radical Islamists fighting among the Syrian rebels by saying Washington supports the more moderate forces among the opposition. But on the ground in Syria, in the middle of a bloody civil war, that line is blurred. Many of those in the Syrian opposition who Washington supports welcome the efforts of radical groups like Al-Nusra. While politicians argue about who is a terrorist and who is a freedom fighter, or who is a terrorist that can be useful now and dealt with later, young Westerners like Eric'a Harroun'a may find themselves confused about what they're fighting for in a place like Syria. In Washington, I'm Gani Chichikal.